My name is Mia Goetvinck, and indeed I work for a multinational, Ricoh, the Ricoh Group. Anyone who has never heard of Ricoh? Seriously? Okay. I'm going to show you after today. You will never forget us. I don't know whether that's good or bad, but we'll see. Okay. So I'm going to tell a little bit about us. I'm not going to talk too much about us. I'm going to show a video film, a little film. 10 minutes. Okay, we can all relax. I'll ask questions afterwards, okay, so don't fall asleep. And then I'm going to talk about what we at Ricoh already made 21 years ago, the Comet Circle. If you know the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, who does? Well, we were first, okay, you'll see. And then I'm going to talk, and I like the question of that young woman, the last question, just before the coffee break, about the sustainability in economic terms of good quality, long-lasting products, because that's the whole business model that Ricoh has developed. That's the whole idea, actually, to use sustainability as a business driver. Okay, so let's start. So what do we do if you don't know us? You all know copier machines and scanners and printers and all that. Maybe Xerox and Canon are better known. But surprise, surprise, we are market leader. We just don't make so much of a fuss about it. Maybe we should. But we have evolved from hardware provider to solutions provider. And that's also the start of actually the new business model. All our competitors are doing that as well, okay? That's not the biggest difference. But it's in the services we provide, and mainly in the sustainability management services we provide to our customers, which I'll talk later about, that's the difference. So whenever we go into contact with a customer, it's a long-term relationship. So we do not just sell one time off copiers. It's a business-to-business model. So it is leasing. It's taking back, recycling, leasing back. Well, we call it a partnership because we want to do more than, there's nothing sexy about a copier. Everybody needs copies, so what? But it's what else you do with your customer in terms of helping, optimizing total cost of ownership, minimizing environmental impact, looking out for the well-being of the employees who use the machines and all that. It's a combination of all that we try to put into our business model. Mainly for us, it's all about reduced costs as well internally as for our customers, eliminate waste, and streamline the business processes. Waste is also in processes, obviously. Bureaucracy, we all know it. The more paper you need or the more authorizations you need in a process, the more waste. Okay. We are official partner of COP21, Paris. And just 2 weeks ago, for the third time, we were in the CDP for 2015 as one of the leaders. So pretty proud of that. Well, I was told to keep close to the microphone, so I'm almost eating it now. Well, a little bit of history. Ricoh was founded in 1936 in Japan. So we are a Japanese company. And we went through 3 stages in our environmental conservation activities. The first stage, a lot of companies go through, even today, start in that phase or are stuck in that phase, is a passive phase. We went through that in the 70s, which means you comply with regulations, but nothing else than that. Just comply. You do what needs to be done in a reactive, passive way. Don't go beyond. That's already hard enough. Now we moved over early 90s into a proactive stage when we were thinking, well, we're a successful company. We have a responsibility. It takes more than just comply. We want to go beyond. That's when you start in a phase to do on a voluntarily base working on conservation of everything that has to do with the environment. In our case, the resources we use, the sources we use for our products and everything else. And in terms of activity, that means next to creating awareness of all your employees, because it's a strategy, it's a way of life you want to get out there as a mission. All your employees need to know that. So communication is very important, but also set high goals. And then towards the end of the 90s, we went into what we call the responsible phase, which is looking at everything that has to do with environmental activities and everything that has to do with profit. A good balance in both. So you focus on what we call the QCD activities, to do with quality. No matter how much we recycle our stuff, it always has to be exactly the same quality as a completely new one. Control costs and manage delivery times. For us, it's very important on that. So looking at just those elements, you are already doing a lot in terms of reducing environmental impact. Because delivery terms, it's logistics, so you look already to into that process as well. Now, I talked about the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. Well, we have, in 1994, created the Comet Circle. It's trademarked, as you see. And it's what Ricoh calls a concept of a sustainable society. The film is about this, most of it, okay? Well, what it is this is the customer, the user of our machines, okay? The user of our machines gets something that has been manufactured some time ago using, obviously, fossil and mineral resources, which we try to preserve. It's manufactured, and it is sold through the sales companies. Now, we lease our products between 3 and 5 years. During that time, the product obviously is maintained, but sometimes before end of the contract, if the needs of the customer changes, high volume, less volume, extra things, extra software needed, we take the machines back and they go into our green center, collection center. And these are the green balls in the Comet circle, okay? It's during the lifetime of our products, while it is in use, can be replaced, can be reused, reuse of parts, and when it is actually not fitting the criteria anymore to have the same quality as a new one, then it goes into the blue area, and it goes towards where parts and materials are actually recovered. And it's a different type of recycling. Now, you have seen beautiful books over there. I don't have a book. I have a small brochure. There are plenty of them. Please take one with you. It is explained in there. You find a bit more information. And it's free. Okay, so now I would like to show the movie. So that was it. Now I said I was going to ask questions. I have one. How many robots did you see in the movie? Not that much. It's one of the things I'm still very proud to work for this company after 24 years. Human aspect is very important. It's been from the start from our company as well. And without people, there's nothing to work for a sustainable future, is there? Now, we have long-term goals. I forgot who talked about it, but the environmental goals was you, yes. We have set those long-term goals for 2050, like a lot of big companies, but you know, we're trying to keep up with that. So we made the commitment of reducing our total life cycle CO2 emissions as a whole group, global, by 1/8, compared to the level of 2000. So down with 87.5% by 2050. To do that, we have set some intermediate goals, okay? And it's our total life cycle CO2 emissions. The three main components of that is energy conservation, resource conservation, and pollution prevention. So energy conservation, we want to have 30% reduction by 2020. I'll show you how much the result is today. For resource conservation, that means reducing the amount of new sources used in the production of our products. We want to have a 25% reduction, but that's set on the levels of 2007. Okay? And then in terms of prevention, pollution prevention, you've seen in the movie with our toners and a number of, we work with chemicals. It might be a risk, so we work enormously on that to minimize the risk of chemical substances throughout the whole product life cycle. So we are now in fiscal year 2014, we're Japanese, that means the fiscal year runs from the 1st of April till the 31st of March. So fiscal year 2014 ended this year, 31 March 2015. We have already 35.8% reduction, so we're already past our intermediate goal for 2020, which is very good. We're very close to the resource conservation target. And in terms of the pollution prevention, it is what I talked about, the minimizing of the risk here. Well, with all the tests and everything that's been done on that, don't ask me technical details about that. I refer to our Ricoh Global website where you can see all the details, but the risk there is reduced to practical minimum. And what we always also have done, and then I want to come to the connection between, you know, environmental awareness and reducing environmental impact, sustainability, and creating economic value. Back in the 90s, and even before that, from the 70s on, where we started our first journey into trying to minimize the environmental impact, we did a lot as Ricoh, but our competitors didn't. And they stayed in that very first phase. So your investment, you have to have a return, okay? So what Ricoh did was keeping up with everything that has, during the whole life cycle of our product, from the very start, procurement of raw materials, the whole eco-design and everything, put it all together in an environment we call environmental impact information system. And on the other hand, we have created an environmental accounting system, the cost of investments in environmental impact, and the return in terms of value of sales. How do we manage to put it into our business model? All that data goes into what we call the integrated database and helps us to understand our integrated environmental impact. I'm not going too much into details, but this assessment learned us as well that the bulk of the environmental impact of our product is not when we manufacture it or when at the end of life it goes away. it is during the lifetime at the customer site in use. It's the only spot where we did not have impact, direct impact. 62% of the environmental impact of our machines is done by the customer. So we came up with an idea, how can we do something about that? It's two things at the same time. That is sustainability as a business driver. We reduce the environmental impact at our customer site as well, but we make money out of it. We call it our Ricoh Green Consultancy, Sustainability Optimization. What we do is we go at our customer site and we do exactly there what we did first in our own company. Analyze as is, what is our current CO2 footprint in terms of how much do you print duplex or not, do you print in color or not, do you turn off the machines when you go home, everything, okay? How many machines do you have? A complete blueprint of everything, okay? That's the as-is phase, the analyze phase. Then we design together with the customer the to-be phase. And most of the time it reduces vastly the amount of copiers or printers at the site of the customer. You might ask, well, you know, that's against your business. Well, no, it doesn't, because usually there are old machines and too many little machines with too low volumes. If you know that we lease our machines, we have a lot of service engineers who go out there on a daily basis in their car, do the maintenance, do repairs. If we keep customers keeping those older machines with a very low volume, which means we don't get much in terms of click price, you know, price per copy, it is a huge cost for us. So it is in our own interest to reduce the number of old anyway and to replace it with high-performing machines, which then can be recycled into our green line, what you just saw. Okay? The green line, who is then the same quality as a new one, but 50% less in price. But it keeps the relationship going with our customers. That's the partnership I talked about. So when the to-be situation is set with the customers, we implement then the improvement area. This is the transformation phase, we call it, because a lot of change management is required there too. People are creatures of habit. We found a lot of our customers who have all these printers in their desk, and you know, in a lot of governmental areas, it's the same. People have printers everywhere, and you can't ask somebody to give up their printer and walk 20 meters further to an area where there are more copiers together or a multifunctional. No, I've always had my printer and I have confidential information. Maybe, but we have solutions for that. Printing on demand, follow me, use your badge, use a code, even a thumbprint in some cases. But that is change management, it's attitude. And it's what our first speaker also said, you know, if you have to change the way of thinking and change infrastructure, but you won't do it just putting a number of solutions or machines. You have to understand and go into the head of people and make it easy. So you change it, and then I think my battery is gone. No. And then we go to the governance phase, because if you don't embed the new way of working, the new installation, before you know it, people return to their old habits. Here in this phase, for instance, we also help the customers to make a print policy. And, you know, let people understand it's not necessary to print everything. It's not necessary to print everything in color. We have eco mode on our machines that have standard settings. So you can still change it, but you have to do an effort. But also that is a change in the minds of people. But you have to be able to track it with KPIs, monitor it, scorecards, reporting. And then at the end of the phase, there's always a rest emission. Okay, we reduce as much as we can, but there is still a remaining unavoidable CO2. People keep breathing we haven't found an answer to that yet. But anyway, that is then neutralized by carbon credits. And the carbon credits, whoa, nada. This, there is it's verified by BSI, the British Standard International, our methodology, our calculation method for the carbon credits. So pretty sure it's solid. So we made a number of green services, a number of green tools, and a number of green products that help our customers to reduce their own cost. I mean, it goes up to 30% that they can, save in terms of total cost of ownership, and you have a reduced environmental impact. So we made a new business out of it. And this is the last slide I wanted to show. Our green line. Here is Ellen MacArthur Foundation again. We're becoming good friends. It's been recognized as a best practice, and you can download these things in there as well. So I think it's a nice thing. And I just wanted to add one last thing. What also helps in terms of changing the way we are behaving, and in terms of making the transition towards a more circular economy where environmental criteria are more important, I would like to do an appeal to everybody who has some kind of influence into the government to make it more important into their own criteria when they buy something. Because it's our biggest frustration, and I keep saying it, that it is a tiny, 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 tiny little bit in the total criteria for a tender. The price, I understand that. It's tax money, it's people's tax money that's used to buy stuff. But if we don't, that is still more than 50% of the whole criteria. And if you know that, you try to do investments, comes at the price. It's no surprise. We are not the cheapest in the market, but we're not the most expensive either. But there must be some kind of weighing. So it would be nice. Some of you are students. Some of you might end up one day maybe in a position where you can change something. Do an appeal. Thank you very much.